Hey everyone, this is Codemic, and we're going to be taking a break from the Legacy series to go over something that I probably should have done a long time ago. We're going to look at every single Polaroid camera that's currently in my collection. There's only one issue. I can't find the Polaroid J33 camera that I did a review on maybe 4 years ago. I moved in the last year, and I'm sure it's at the bottom of a box or shoved into a closet or something. So once I really start to dig through some of these boxes and things, I'll try to find it again. But for now, this box is going to represent that camera. I tried to put them in the order I got them to the best that I can remember, but since I've been collecting for about 5 years now, and I probably in my whole collection not... So these are just the Polaroids. I have more cameras than this, but the other cameras can be for a later video. Every camera I have, maybe I have 15 to 20. In terms of Polaroids, what do I have? I have 8 that I remember. I may have more actually, to be honest, but it gets really hard when I can't just display them all. So let's just go ahead and get started with my earliest camera here. I think this was one of my earliest videos on YouTube in general, was this Polaroid EE100 Special. It's really in about the same condition that I had it in, about 4 or 5 years ago. One of my favorite ones. I think it definitely looks the coolest and the most retro. It has the billowed chamber here. This one's definitely starting to show its age. I mean, it was a couple years ago. Some of the hinges on this aren't quite as smooth as they used to be. I think it's this side that's a little wonky and broken. I do have so this normally folds in, and then it has a plastic housing that goes over the front of it. I have that over there in the corner. It's just kind of collecting dust, because, I normally just like to show it off like this. Then we have the viewfinder as well. That's not the viewfinder, that's the flash cube, something or other it does. Adjust your distance here up to, what's that say, 3.5 feet, all the way up to infinity. So that's definitely one of my favorite ones. Earliest camera I got, this uses pack film, very expensive. This one does work. I did fire it a few times early on. I don't have any of those photos anymore. They were also lost. So this brings us to my next one. This is one of my most popular videos on YouTube still, because I think this camera is one of the most common ones there is. It's also my favorite for the reason that it's a tank. It has the built-in flash bulb, the Polaroid OneStep Closeup. It does take 600 film, which is made by PolaroidOriginals. It used to be the impossible project when I started making Polaroid videos. Really easy to operate. Just move the switch over if it's going to be dark or light, if it was white. Your distance here, whether it's close-up or farther away, although this is the Polaroid OneStep Closeup, so you should probably be taking close-up pictures so you can see down the viewfinder. This one actually does have a cartridge in it. Let's see if I can kind of capture that. So let's see if you can listen. So I'm not sure if it's actually coming through in video, but when you do open it, you can kind of hear the lens charging up, and you can see, so the batteries are in the cartridge on these. I get questions on that all the time. Where's the battery for this thing? There's no AA's or anything. It's literally just in the cartridge. So every time you get a fresh cartridge, that's a fresh battery. The battery is good if the green light comes on the back. I don't believe there's any film in this, but I'm honestly not sure. I haven't used it in a couple years, so if there is film in it, let's go ahead and find out. Oh man. Well, that's what I look like. We'll go ahead and see if that develops. I did not know there's film in there. That's kind of a waste. Let's see, it should say on the back what number that was. Polaroid 0, I have no clue. Normally it'll say it somewhere. So that should develop. It looks like it does need clean though. You can kind of see the scrape markings there. But cool, so it does work. That proves it. And it proves that at some point I did buy film in the past for this, but again, that film is at least 2 years. I would guess on the outside 4 years. Up next, I always call this the Instagram camera. I think it's the, I don't know, maybe the coolest looking one I own. I know I just said that about that one. But I think this one is cool because it has that iconic Polaroid candy stripe, which looks like it may have faded a little bit in the sunlight. I probably need to be careful of that. This one just needs a good cleaning. A little damage around the edging of that, but that's, I mean, it's an old camera. What are you gonna do? This one I would never get film for besides the dust, because it is cracked. If you look on the bottom here, it's somehow, this is, when I bought it, it was like this. The plastic is chipped there, so if I ever put any film in here, it would probably not work. Again, really cool though. Polaroid OneStep, that was just the brand they use. The OneStep is just the one button it takes. Boom, you take your picture. Same on this one, it's just that one mechanism. Hold back to focus and then push down all the way to fire if you're ever taking a picture with that. This one again represents, oh, so I guess I can tell the story with this one. This camera here came in this box. They're both Sun 600 or OneStep 600 cameras, but whoever was the owner of this antique store just put this camera in this box. I mean, I won't complain, it's a cool looking box. But again, so this box in our little video here is going to represent the Polaroid J33. Don't really have much to say about that one, just that it's a tank, very heavy, very metal. I would say it's close enough to this one in terms of build quality and all that. So we'll just go ahead and kind of skip over that to this one. Also featuring that Polaroid candy stripe, much like the Instagram camera. This is closely related to this guy over here, although this guy is definitely newer. This one is also, this one's probably in the best condition. I believe when I bought this, I don't think it had ever been fired. The inside, it's just the most pristine camera I've ever seen in terms of Polaroids of this era. Besides the dust that it now collects on my shelf. Very pretty camera. Up here would normally be a light bar that you can kind of see here. It would just kind of plug in on top. That it doesn't have, and I don't believe it ever did. Same controls, just the light dark, although this one doesn't have that distance slider like the other one did, so maybe that was a fancier model or what. Again, just a really, really pretty, nice camera. Takes 600 film that you can buy online for, it used to be like 20 to 25 bucks for 10 shots, but I haven't really looked recently. But again, just how clean that is on the inside, I do not believe this was ever fired. And I think I have a video on most of the ones that we've just talked to already if you want to know more details, although I should do an update. Again, the biggest Polaroid that they ever made, the Andy Warhol camera. This is the Polaroid Big Shot. He used it to take portraits. Again, Polaroid portrait, who would have thought? Put your flash cube in here, and this kind of disperses the light. This one is, I believe the handle's broken on the back, so yeah. So these 99% of the time, there used to be a wrist strap on these type of cameras, which it's similar to what's on the back. It would be exactly like that. Although it would have gone right here, but they are often broken off. This one does have a timer. I believe it does work. Yeah, you can hear it. And now we have to deal with that annoying sound. So here's how to focus and do everything. If you want to do that, you can see how ridiculous that would be. Can you imagine having to carry this around to take a portrait? Now all I have to do is switch that in on your iPhone. Not really much to it. This one's also in pretty good shape. I won't rip it open just because... But I think if you want to see the more details on that, you can go watch the video on it too. Again, one of my favorite ones with how unique it is. I think it's probably the most valuable one in my collection if I would have to guess, just because it's more rare than all the others. But I'd never get rid of it. It's just too ridiculous looking. Again, this is one of the definitely grandpas of the group here. Definitely looks pretty awesome. They would never make anything like this anymore with the metal and the finish and everything. This also has the billowing like the first camera we looked at. You want to take a picture. Where's the button even? I used to think it was on the side. Anyway, really cool. I'm not as much of a fan of these older designs as I am, say, like this guy or that guy. But if I collect all Polaroids, so I found this one for a good deal. Most of the time I would typically pay $20, and it was mine. This one is cool because it has the wrist strap on. It's still in good shape. You can see the big metal hinge, so the back would just fold open and you would put the particular pack film into this one. And all the dials and things still work. As far as I know, this one would still work, but I have never bought film for it. Although that does feel a little loose, so I gotta be careful with that. And finally, this is the most recent one I've gotten. I believe I got this in the past year. I definitely did the video for this in the past year. I think this is my most recent Polaroid tour because it was the first one I did in like 2 years. The Square Shooter 2. Very basic camera, nothing too special about it. Put your flash cube on that side. I'm actually not too sure what this would do. I would assume locking and unlocking the photo. Does it tell us on top? Flash cube for defeat, remove tube. Yeah, I'm not too sure what that lock does. I'll have to read about that. Maybe I'll put in an annotation or in a future video. I also love how, one, this still has the wrist strap, which is awesome, but then just on cameras, they just used to have to print all the instructions. It was a 1, 2, 3 aim shoot, so what, like 20 different instructions on how to take pictures in different situations and whatever else. This one was definitely used a little bit, but it's still in really good shape, really solid. So yeah, this is the gang. The gang's all here, well, besides the J33. If I can find that one, I'll do an update video on it later in this year. We could do maybe a whole camera collection update if you guys want to see that. So this has been Codemic, and this is my Polaroid camera collection. If you want to see more Polaroid tours, I have quite a few videos on cameras now. If you just want to learn more about history, go ahead and check out the Legacy and Abandoned history videos. And if you want some Codemic merchandise, you have a Polaroid camera and it needs a sticker to cover up the lens, go buy a Codemic sticker. So this has been Codemic, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you all real soon.